You're watching Sky News, the headlines today, and after 14 years in professional cricket, one of England's most successful captains, Andrew Strauss, has retired from all forms of the game. Well, let's talk about some of the pressures on people in Andrew Strauss's position. Let's speak to the sports psychologist, Jamie Smart, who joins me now. Good to see you, Jamie.
Good to see you,
you know, whatever the reasons behind it are, there's no doubt that we've seen succession of captains, England captains, being worn down by the pressures of that job. And the pressures aren't just on the field, and perhaps that's part of the problem.
Well, yeah, and what I should say, I'm not a sports psychologist. I'm a resilience and mood expert, not just looking at sport, but all across the board. And the pressures that Andrew Strauss has faced are the same kinds of pressures that someone faces if they're being bullied at work, or someone faces if they're, facing redundancy or something like that. And the problem, like you heard in the interview, he said the feeling has built over 6 to 12 months. So the feelings got stronger and stronger. He's actually feeling his thinking. So as strange as it may sound, 100% of the pressure that Andrew Strauss has felt over the last 12 months has come from his own thinking, from his own mind.
But has he been forming that view in his head that I'm not getting enough support from those around me? If you draw the parallels with a workplace where, for instance, you're being bullied or something's going wrong, you would expect management structures within the organisation to do something about it.
Well, quite possibly the Kevin Pietersen situation, his own form. None of those things will have helped. But if you were to take a number of sportsmen, there's going to be a bell curve in their response. So some of them will respond to that by being absolutely devastated and would have quit 12 months ago. Some of them would sail through it. It's all going to be down to his own inner sense of resilience that basically is either going to be enhanced by having a free and clear mind, or is going to be, come under increasing pressure because of the thinking that he's doing.
I mean, you mentioned Kevin Pietersen. There is that issue, isn't there? And it goes, again, parallels with the workplace. If you've got a mercurial yet highly disruptive colleague who you feel is affecting the way you and others around you, your team, work, then it becomes increasingly difficult to stay where you are, again, if management don't do something about that colleague.
Well, it sure can. And it's funny, the influence on the captain and the other members of the team is all going to be down to how they perceive that other individual. If they perceive him as being, he's onto something, maybe he's right, maybe what he's saying is true, all that sort of stuff, then that's going to have an impact. Just like if they feel that management isn't doing enough and they get that into their heads, then that's going to exert a pressure. But the key thing, and the key thing that people overlook again and again across the board, whether it's on the field or in the workplace or at home, is that the feelings of pressure, the feelings of stress, are coming from their own thinking. They're not coming from out there in the world, even though it looks like they are.
I mean, everyone is different, clearly, and even in the cricketing world, in terms of their abilities and the results and the teams they play, and so many other variables. Yet it seems like the kind of job where eventually there are so many sources from which pressure will come that eventually it will weigh you down, whether it's a dip in your own form, relations with your colleagues, relations with management, results, on it goes. There's so much there, something's got to give in the end.
Well, it sure looks like that, doesn't it? And the world as a whole is becoming more and more complex, and the big challenge, and this is what I see with my clients, or what I see with businesses, the big challenge is to find out how can you navigate through that increasing barrage of interruptions and pressures and that sort of thing by finding that resilience within yourself. And that's what we saw on the interview. Did you notice he kind of looked relieved? Yeah. Because 6 to 12 months of increasing thought, increasing pressure has just been lifted. Now, it looks like it's been lifted because he's had it in his notes.
It's something he's in control of.
Yeah. But it's really been lifted because now he's not thinking about it. He's like, oh great, I'm done. I don't have to do that again. It looks like quitting is what's released it. But actually, that's just been a good enough reason for him to stop doing all that heavy thinking.
Fascinating stuff. Thank you, Jamie. Very, very good to talk to you. Jamie Smart.